You made it. Hi, Nikki.
We are live.
All right. Hello and good afternoon. I'm Sage Turner, Chair of the Housing and Community Development Committee, and I'd like to welcome you to our February 12th remote meeting. All council members and staff are participating virtually. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city's website. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. You do so by calling 855-925-2801, and the meeting code is number 9791. For today's meeting, we also have the option for people to call in and make a public comment. To do so, you'll use the same number, 855-925-2801, and meeting code 9791. Your phone will be muted at that time, and you'll hear the meeting live. At that point, you'll need to push *3 to enter the speaker queue. That's *3. I will now go through a roll call and introduce all of the committee members, staff who are participating virtually today. Council and staff, as I say your name, please come off mute and say a quick hello. Councilwoman Antoinette Mosley.
Good afternoon.
Councilwoman Shanika Smith.
Hello.
Assistant City Manager Rachel Wood.
Good afternoon.
Community Economic Development Director Nikki Reed.
Hello, everyone.
Go. And Affordable Housing Officer Sasha Bertinsky.
Good afternoon.
Great. All right, everyone. We have 4 items on our agenda today, followed by public comment. And the first one is the approval of the minutes from November 27 of last year. Has everybody had a chance? And if there are no concerns or amendments, can we get a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Great. And because we're virtual, we'll do a roll call vote. Councilwoman Mosley.
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith.
Aye.
And myself, Sage. Aye. Right. Quickly moving on to number 2. We're going to be hearing from Sasha Bertinsky about a rescission of the previous Housing Trust Fund award. Go ahead. Looks like Katie's going to share a screen. And go ahead, Sasha. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Turner. Yes, I'm Sasha Vertinsky, here to talk about rescinding a loan for the Housing Trust Fund. Next. So on December 8th, 2020, City Council approved Bryson Investment Group's Housing Trust Fund application and award for $1.2 million for Pineview Place condominium. The developer has been able to construct the project due to higher construction costs, and action by council is required to formally rescind that $1.2 million and release that back into the Housing Trust Fund available balance. Next. So, as I said, this was approved back in 2020. The project was to develop 12 for-sale affordable condominium homes on our line Henry Way, which is in West Asheville. The owner has stated that they're not able to complete the project. I've been in touch with them over the past year several different times. They actually have also subdivided the parcel into 3 parcels and have been permitted for 2 single-family homes with homestay units on 2 of them. So these units are already under construction, and which basically makes that original project unachievable. Next. So we haven't had any formal agreements and no payments were ever issued. We generally expect that loan closings will happen within a year after approval of City Council. So staff is initiating this rescission and the developer is aware of this action. Next. So the good part of this is that those funds will be reallocated to the Housing Trust Fund for future use. But not so great is that we will not have those 12 affordable condominiums for sale. Next. So there is no fiscal impact for us. It just, as I said before, the balance, that 1.2 million will go back to the balance of available funding. Next. So we're recommending that City Council rescind the loan since the project's not achievable, and that allows us to reallocate those funds in the next funding cycle. And so we have a suggested motion here. And then just our key takeaways again. But that, I'm done at this point.
Thank you, Sasha. I hate to hear this. I had been hearing rumblings as you had been working on it. I just took from that as instead of 12 affordable condos, we'll end up, was it 2 single-family homes with a homestay built in? And
Yeah, there's still more land there too. For development.
Okay. Did they share anything? Was it about other financing? I'm just kind of curious about the environment. We're hearing it's hard to get financing on some of these larger projects or multi-unit.
I think affordable home ownership is much harder than rental, right? So I think that's actually the hardest piece of this. And
Right.
yeah, I know they've built some other things, but I don't have as much history with this developer as with current ones.
Right. And I guess there are other laws on condos too that you have to pre-sell 50% and stuff. There just might have been, I always like to know if there's additional information available, just kind of curious. I don't have any other questions or comments. I've been hearing about this project for years. Fellow Councilwoman, any questions for Sasha? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I move to recommend City Council rescind the $1.2 million Housing Trust Fund loan previously awarded to Bryson Investment Group, LLC, and reallocate funds to the Housing Trust Fund available balance.
Second.
Great. We'll do a virtual vote. Councilwoman Mosley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith,
Aye.
myself, Sage, aye. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we will quickly move on to item number 3, which again will be Sasha giving us an affordable housing plan update. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can go to the next slide, Katie. So as you all know, the city is working with enterprise community partners to assist us in developing an affordable housing plan. We work with them and we're continuously working to ensure that those are most affected by the affordable housing crisis are heard in the process. Work began on this project in September and we are scheduled to be complete with a final presentation to City Council in May of 2024. Next. So basically, I want to just generally speaking, the affordable housing plan is going to assess our current needs and help guide recommended priorities and strategies for affordable housing for the next 5 to 10 years. The plan is going to be evaluating our programs, and we've talked many times about this, so I know it's not a surprise, but the land use incentive program, the housing trust fund, our city-owned land. They also are looking at our bond funding and how we use that. We're expecting that this plan is going to provide a foundation and guidance on how to allocate future funds, especially if there's a affordable housing bond referendum in the fall. Next. So I'm not going to read through all of this, but this is kind of an outline of the different milestones we were at. The enterprise team was here in January, and I know I spoke with Councilwoman Mosley at one of their events, and they will be back in March. We're already planning that visit, and we will be possibly coming to the full city council. But we're going to make sure that council's looped in and knows exactly where we're at on the plan. And then again, coming back in May. Next. So engagement, wanted to just give you a short update on this. We have a resident engagement roundtable group, which is primarily composed of residents and organizers working with residents and workers. They are helping us focus how we do community engagement, and also in helping us reach out to their networks and communities. And they will also be giving us feedback on recommendations. They've met a couple times already and we're meeting again next week. As I said before, Enterprise came to Asheville in January, and that included focus groups, individual meetings, and 2 open houses for community participation. And these events were really successful. We touched a wide variety of people, and we had an open house at the mall in the afternoon on a rainy Saturday and had a great turnout. Part of it was people just coming by, and part of it was people actually reaching out and getting folks to come out for that. So we are really happy with that because we've never done something like that at the mall. So it was interesting. We had a survey that was open until Saturday. We had a lot of participation in that. I don't have a final number on that, but we definitely worked hard to get the word out about that survey. So next. And these are just some pictures from the mall. We were also at Shiloh in the morning. We had a set of boards that people could interact with. Next, Katie. And there was even one where you could clip out pictures and make a collage if you want. But we definitely had a great experience and lots of help from staff. Next. So this is just a picture of our project page that's currently up. It had the survey up and we'll be updating that today as well. Next. And just back to our key takeaways. So I just wanted to let you all know that that's happening. And they are working very hard on, now they're really in the kind of the meat of the plan. They've got some findings they'll be bringing back in March and draft recommendations, if that wasn't clear. That's what we're doing in March is key findings and recommendations. So any questions?
Councilwoman, any questions for Sasha? I know sometimes these plans, as we get near council, can be delayed some more. And I know we're talking in our next item about maybe pausing some initiatives while we finish this plan. Are we pretty confident that April and May is going to happen?
I know every time I say May, I get a little scared. But we keep saying it over and over, and we're kind of pushing hard. So I think that's where we're headed.
Okay.
I mean, it could slip into June maybe, but we're definitely trying to finish this up because of the bond and wanting to have a clear roadmap. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. Someone, any other questions before we move on to the next item? Okay, moving quickly today. That concludes item number 3. And we will move on to item number 4, which is a land use incentive grant discussion. And Sasha will be helping with that again. Go ahead, Sasha. Thank you.
Thanks. Just made some people move down the hall because I was getting distracted. Yes, so we're bringing back this Luigi application pause. We're bringing this to you as the first step in the process. If you all remember at your December 12th meeting, this came up when you all were considering a land use incentive grant for a property. Next. So the land use incentive grant program has been around for 13 years. And since its adoption, the policy's been revised over time to increase the amount of affordable units, the length of affordability, adding voucher acceptance to help increase the impact of the program. And over the last 6 months to a year, I would say questions and concerns have been raised about the efficacy and the equitability of this program. And I think council indicated to us that there's a preference to revise this policy before considering additional applications. And then, so staff is recommending a pause in the acceptance of Luigi applications while our affordable housing plan consultant evaluates the program and makes recommendations on the city's current suite of affordable housing tools. So, but in the interim, we just want to make sure it's clear that staff continues to work with developers who have applied for housing trust funds or fee rebates, CDBG, and home funds. So that work continues, and this is just for the land use incentive program. Next. So just very quickly, some background. This program was created to incentivize the inclusion of 80% AMI units in market projects that otherwise would have only offered market rate rents. It wasn't originally designed to produce units for lower income residents at 50% AMI or less without additional funding, such as vouchers or a housing trust fund or other sources. So, but over time, as I said before, the policy's been incrementally revised, increasing the percentage of affordable units required, the affordability period, and adding voucher acceptance to help serve those at 60% and below. Next. And just a little bit more detail, in October 2019, the scoring structure was revised, and it had longer affordability periods and a higher number of affordable units. And so we've seen an increase of applications and approvals since then. So just for reference, between 2010 and 2019, 6 grants were approved. And then between October of 2019, when the policy was changed, in 2023, 12 Luigi grants have been approved. And including all of that, the city has committed to $21 million in grants to support 414 affordable units in market rate projects. Next. So, as you know, we're working with Enterprise on our plan. That plan will include recommendations on these incentives, including Luigi. And Enterprise was selected in part because of its commitment to centering equity in its recommendations. And we feel very good about them and their nationwide experience and their understanding of the issues. So we expect to have, again, their recommendations in May. Next. So, so here are just some of the things that we're thinking about in terms of, this is kind of, I think this slide got in here accidentally. Next, Katie. I think we already talked through all those pieces. Sorry. So just quickly, a timeline for review. Enterprise will complete its evaluation of the Luigi program. Draft recommendations will be shared with the community in March. We'll be taking stakeholder feedback on those draft recommendations. And, you know, depending on what those recommendations are for Luigi, then, you know, we will vet those recommendations and then come back to City Council with a recommended Luigi policy. That recommended Luigi policy would go through the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, AHAC, then come to you all at HCD, go to the Policy, Finance, and HR Committee before being considered by the full City Council. And then after that's approved, we would resume accepting Luigi applications. Next. So I did take this proposal to AHAC. They decided not to vote on it. You know, it was a very short order, kind of very quick turnaround from December to their January 4th meeting. They had some concerns that pausing it would indicate a reduced commitment to affordable housing. And at the same time, some members expressed that as long as it was clearly communicated that when a decision would be made, the pause is reasonable. So I think there was no kind of unanimous feeling on the committee at that point. So next. The benefit of having a pause, it allows us to have some time to evaluate the policy within the context of all our programs and all our funding and what we're trying to achieve as a city before we make further investments under this program. And, you know, potential con to this could be that there may be some residential development applications coming forward in the next few months that could potentially apply for it. But we don't have any applications in the queue at this time. I don't know of anyone who wants to apply for Luigi in the next few months either. So, yes.
Sasha, just real quick. So, and if I recall correctly, the Luigi application must come at least before or at the same time as any kind of large conditional zoning review, right? So if we did have something that was like a large project that had 20% affordable and wanted to do a Luigi, they'd have so much review time in front of them that it probably wouldn't mess that up either, right?
Correct. And at the same time, yes, that is a requirement, but you do have the ability to waive that. So if somebody did their CZ and then came back after the policy was revised, you all could still hear it as well.
Okay, thank you.
Katie, next. So there's no fiscal impact for this decision. Next. So we're recommending that council approves a resolution to pause acceptance of Luigi applications until the Affordable Housing Plan can recommend a course of action for this program in that broader context of all our programs. And we have a suggested motion here. And then the next slide is just the key takeaways again. So,
Thank you.
sure.
Councilwoman, any questions for Sasha? No.
I should
just
have,
had a
I'm
go
sorry, I just should have said that this will be at the Policy, Finance, and HR Committee tomorrow, and then City Council tomorrow night. So we're trying to move as fast as we can, so.
Right. My only comments are about what it looked like in the timeline where there's going to be a check-in with staff soon. And I'm curious if any of this is being considered in the plan. Some things that have popped up in the last year or so talking about this are the number of bedrooms, right? How many bedrooms are being awarded. And also I've heard from some of the applicants about they have a challenge reaching the 3-bedroom level because the tiers of Luigi subsidy don't keep up with the number of bedrooms. I'm just saying that so that maybe this is something staff can share with Enterprise or maybe get some input on. And then, yeah, I mean, I guess that's really it. Do you know what I'm referring to when they say, we can't even make 3 bedrooms because Luigi doesn't help us get there? To build the 3 bedrooms is so much more and the subsidy doesn't help. And that's why we get a lot of 1 and very few 2 bedrooms.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I just wonder if that might be helpful to talk with them about, or if we could get any insight into that or recommendations.
Okay. Yeah. We definitely.
But overall, okay.
Go ahead.
Overall, I have a shared concern with AHAC that it looks as it presents almost like we are stepping back from our commitment to affordability. But I also appreciate their second sentiment, which is we have a timeline, we have a goal, we have all these other processes in place, and maybe this just makes it all smoother. And I'm really thankful we don't have any big projects in play. So it doesn't sound like it will upset too many apple carts while we figure this out.
And I will say, I did tell AHAC that the amount of uncertainty that we're working with right now, that for staff and for the lawyers, for the developers, we're spending so much time before we get to council on it because it doesn't feel solid at this point. And that's just, it's eating up a lot of time on both sides. So
that's helpful to know. Okay. It sounds like maybe we're ready for a motion if other councilwomen don't have any questions.
I move to recommend that Asheville City Council pause acceptance of Luigi applications until Affordable Housing Plan recommends a course of action for Luigi program.
Second.
Right, and we'll do a virtual roll call vote. Councilwoman Mosley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Smith,
Aye.
and myself, I am in support. And I believe, thank you everyone, that is our last agenda item. Let me get here just to make sure. Yep, that's correct. So we've concluded item number 4 and we move on to 5, which is just public comment. Katie, do we have any callers? I know we were having a brief problem with the bridge earlier.
Let me check just one moment. No, we do not. We do not have anybody in the speaker queue.
We answered all their questions. Okay, great. I think that is everything for us today then. Thank you, everyone. Nice to see you all and enjoy the rest of your days. We are adjourned.
thank you.